My stepdaughter wears her mother's ghost like a perfume. I see it in the way she arranges the white hydrangeas on the mantelpiece, the way she hums a quiet tune my late wife adored while she kneads dough in the kitchen. For a year since we lost Sarah Maya has been the quiet, dutiful caretaker of my grief, a living testament to the woman who was the center of our shared universe. But tonight, as she stood in the warm lamplight of the library, wearing one of Sarah's old silk robes, her expression full of a woman's worry, not a child's, she asked me a question that set our fragile world of mourning on fire. She asked me if I was lonely, and for the first time I realized she wasn't asking about my wife. My name is Elias Vance. At 48, I am a man living in a house I designed surrounded by a life I no longer recognize. I was an architect once upon a time before I gave it up to pursue a quieter passion, crafting exquisite classical guitars in the workshop I built behind our home in the Hudson Valley. This house, this land was supposed to be the setting for a long, happy life with Sarah. Her sudden illness stole that future, leaving behind a void so vast it seemed to have its own gravity. After the funeral, everyone assumed Maya would leave. At 19, she had her own life to start, college friends, a world beyond this quiet, grief-stricken house. But she stayed. She insisted. She deferred her admission to Bard College for a year, telling her concerned relatives that she couldn't leave me alone. So she became the keeper of our home, the curator of her mother's memory, and the silent witness to my slow, hollowed-out existence. She is 20 now, and the girl who stayed to look after her grieving stepfather has, without either of us noticing, become a woman. A woman who moves with a quiet, unconscious grace. A woman whose presence has become the only real and vital thing in this house of ghosts. The night she asked the question, the air was still and cold outside, the bare branches of the oak trees scratching against the window panes. I was in my workshop sanding the curved body of a guitar, the scent of cedar and rosewood, a familiar, comforting balm. She came in holding 2 mugs of tea, her bare feet silent on the wood-shaving dusted floor. The silk of Sarah's robe, a deep emerald green, shimmered in the low light, clinging to her form. It was a sight so achingly familiar, yet so profoundly different that it stole the air from my lungs. "I brought you tea," she said, her voice soft. She set a mug on my workbench. "You've been out here for hours, Elias." She is the only one who calls me Elias. To everyone else, I am Mr. Vance. To her, I have never been Dad. I was her mother's husband, a man she had grown to love and respect. Our relationship had always been one of warm, familial affection, clearly defined. But grief had dissolved those old definitions, leaving us in a strange, uncharted territory. "Thank you, Maya," I said, my voice hoarse. I wiped my hands on a rag and took the mug, my fingers brushing against hers. A jolt, subtle but undeniable, passed between us. I saw her inhale sharply, her eyes widening for a fraction of a second before she looked away. She wandered over to a finished guitar hanging on the wall, her fingers tracing its intricate rosette inlay. "It's beautiful," she whispered. "You create such beautiful things out of silence." And then she turned, her expression serious, her gaze direct. "Elias, are you lonely?" The question was a perfectly aimed stone shattering the placid surface of our polite, grief-stricken arrangement. A simple yes was the obvious, expected answer. Yes, I am lonely for my wife. Yes, I miss her every second of every day. But as I looked at Maya standing there, bathed in the warm glow of the workshop, her eyes full of a deep, searching empathy that went beyond a daughter's concern, I knew the simple answer was a lie. My loneliness was no longer a simple, pure thing. It had become complicated. It had become a loneliness for companionship, for warmth, for the presence of the living woman in front of me, not just the memory of the one who was gone. We've all been lonely this past year. I deflected, my voice carefully neutral. That's not what I asked, she pressed gently. I see you. You retreat in here. You build your beautiful silent things, but you're a ghost in your own house. It's not just about missing her anymore, is it? Her perception was terrifying. She saw right through the stoic facade I presented to the world. She saw the man, not just the widower. And in that moment, I understood that her question was not just an expression of concern. It was an invitation. An invitation into a conversation that we were not supposed to have. I should have shut it down, retreated into the safe paternal role she had assigned me. But I was tired of being a ghost. So I told her a sliver of the truth. No. I said, my voice barely a whisper. It's not just about missing her anymore. A silent understanding passed between us, as profound and as dangerous as a seismic shift deep beneath the earth. The ground had changed. We had acknowledged that our relationship was no longer just about the past. It was about the present. It was about the two of us alone in this house, navigating a new and treacherous landscape of need and unspoken desire. She held my gaze for a long moment, then nodded slowly as if a silent question had been answered. She turned and left the workshop, leaving me with my half-sanded guitar and a heart that was pounding with a terrifying, exhilarating mixture of fear and hope. The weeks that followed were a delicate, high-stakes dance. Nothing was said, but everything had changed. The air between us was thick with a new awareness. Every accidental touch in the narrow hallway was no longer accidental. Every shared glance across the dinner table held a new, deeper meaning. We found new rituals. She would bring her college reading into my workshop in the evenings, sitting quietly in an old armchair while I worked. We wouldn't speak for hours, but her presence was a warm, living thing that filled the silence in a way music never could. I, in turn, started to emerge from my self-imposed exile. I would help her in the kitchen, teaching her the recipes Sarah had loved. We were recreating a domestic life, but it was our own version, a strange hybrid of the past and a new unspoken present. The intimacy was built on the foundation of her mother. We would talk about Sarah for hours, sharing memories, laughing at old stories. But the conversations began to subtly shift. We weren't just memorializing the dead. We were revealing ourselves. I would tell her of my frustrations as a young architect, a part of my life Sarah had barely known. She would confess her fears about her own future, about not knowing who she was outside of her mother's daughter. We were excavating our own souls under the guise of honoring a memory. It was a dangerous, seductive process of shared vulnerability. The outside world intruded in the form of my sister-in-law, Carol. She arrived one weekend from Boston, her car full of luggage and a palpable aura of concerned disapproval. Carol had always believed Maya's decision to stay with me was a mistake, a morbid and unhealthy sacrifice of her youth. She needs to be around people her own age, Elias Carroll said to me in a hushed, conspiratorial tone while Maya was out getting groceries. She's putting her entire life on hold for you. It's not right. She's wilting in this house of grief. Later, I overheard her speaking to Maya in the garden. Honey, you've done more than enough. You've been a wonderful daughter, a wonderful stepdaughter. But your life is waiting for you. Bard is still holding your spot. Don't you want to go? Don't you want to be a normal 20-year-old girl? That evening, the three of us sat at dinner in a state of strained politeness. Carol kept the conversation focused on the future, Maya's future. She talked about dorm rooms, course selections, the vibrant social life of a college campus. She was painting a picture of the life Maya should be living, and with every word she was highlighting the abnormality of the one she was living. I watched Maya's face. She was quiet, her expression unreadable. But I saw the tension in her hands, the way she pushed her food around her plate. Carol's well-meaning concern was an attack on our world, on the quiet, intricate ecosystem we had built. Finally, Maya put her fork down and looked at her aunt. "My life is here right now, Aunt Carol." She said, her voice quiet but firm. "Elias needs me, and I need him. This is my home." The way she said it, the simple declarative statement of fact, was a powerful defense of our arrangement. She wasn't just defending me, she was defending us. In that moment, we were no longer a grieving stepfather and a dutiful stepdaughter. We were a unit, a partnership allied against the judgment of the outside world. Carol saw a sad, inappropriate codependence. We were beginning to see a profound, if forbidden, connection. The anniversary of Sarah's death was a heavy gray day. We didn't speak of it, but its presence was in every room. We moved through the day in a shared silent ritual of remembrance. We walked the grounds, we looked through old photo albums, our fingers brushing as we pointed to pictures of a younger, happier us with Sarah as our bright, shining center. That night we sat by the fire, a bottle of Sarah's favorite Pinot Noir open between us. The wine, the fire, the weight of the day, it all conspired to dissolve the last of our inhibitions. "I feel guilty sometimes," Maya whispered, staring into the flames, "for being happy, for having moments where I don't think about her." She turned to look at me, her eyes shimmering with unshed tears. "And I feel guilty for the way I feel about being here, with you. It's not just about her anymore." It was a confession laid bare in the flickering firelight. She was giving voice to the truth we had been circling for months. My own heart ached with a painful, resonant truth. "My loneliness isn't pure anymore either, Maya," I admitted, my voice thick. "At first it was all about her absence, but slowly it's become about your presence. The thought of you leaving, of this house being truly empty, it's a different kind of loneliness. And it terrifies me." We were no longer talking about grief. We were talking about need. Our need for each other right here, right now. She reached out and placed her hand on my knee. A simple, comforting gesture that felt like the most significant touch of my life. "I'm not leaving Elias." I looked at her, at this beautiful, brave, and complicated young woman who had become the anchor of my life. I saw the ghost of her mother in the curve of her smile, but I saw Maya in the fierce, empathetic intelligence of her eyes. My love for her was a tangled, impossible thing, a braid of paternal affection, profound gratitude, and a deep, soul-shaking desire for the woman she had become. I leaned forward, my hand coming up to cup her cheek. It was a movement that felt both terrifyingly new and utterly inevitable. "Maya," I breathed, and her name was a prayer, a question, a surrender. The kiss was as quiet and as gentle as the falling snow outside. It was not a kiss of frantic, explosive passion, but of a deep, sorrowful, and profound recognition. It was a kiss that acknowledged the beautiful ghost of the woman we had both loved while choosing the living, breathing reality of the person in front of us. It was a kiss that tasted of wine and grief and the quiet, desperate hope of two lonely people finding a new center in a universe that had lost its own. In that moment, we were not stepfather and stepdaughter. We were survivors. We were partners. We were two people who had found an impossible, forbidden love in the fertile soil of a shared sorrow. In the weeks and months that followed, we built a new life in the quiet sanctuary of our home. It was a life lived in the shadows, a secret world of our own creation. To the outside world, we were a grieving man and his devoted stepdaughter. But within the walls of the house Elias Vance had built, we were something else entirely. We were lovers, partners, confidants. Our shared grief had not been a wall between us, but the very foundation upon which we built our new, fragile, and beautiful world. Carol called, of course, her voice laced with concern. Maya told her she was happy that she was taking online courses, that she was exactly where she needed to be. It was not a lie. Our love was a quiet domestic thing. It was in the way she'd bring me a cup of coffee in the workshop, her hand lingering on my shoulder. It was in the way I would play the guitar for her in the evenings, the music a conversation that spoke of all the things we could not say. It was a love that would never see the light of day, a love that defied every convention, every rule. Sometimes I would feel a pang of guilt, a shadow of the life we were supposed to be living. But then I would look at Maya, at the quiet strength in her eyes, at the woman who had chosen to stay to rebuild a life with me from the ashes of our old one. And I knew that what we had was more real, more profound than any conventional happiness. We had not replaced the woman we had lost. Instead, in the vast empty space her absence had created, we had found each other. We had forged a new unbreakable bond, a love story written in the margins of a tragedy, a testament to the enduring, often impossible ways the living find a way to go on. Grief can reshape the landscape of our lives, creating new, unexpected paths. Can love in its most unconventional forms be a valid way to navigate a profound loss? Is a connection forged in sorrow doomed, or can it be the strongest bond of all? Air your thoughts on this complex journey of love and loss in the comments below. If this story resonated with you and prompted you to think about the intricate ways our hearts heal and connect, please subscribe to our channel, like this video, and share it. Your support is what allows us to continue telling these challenging and deeply human stories. Thank you for being here with us.